I'm gonna hit record.
Okay.
It's
Yay.
recording. Meep, 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 meep. Thank you so much. Welcome to Real Talk with me. We have a very special
Yay.
guest.
Hi, I'm Hannes. I'm out of the Elizabeth Street garden here with the flowers blossoming already in spring.
Wonderful. Can you share a little bit about the amazing work that you do?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my full name is Hannes Bent, and I run a startup called Breathing.AI. It's based out of the incubator New Inc right now in New York. Went through multiple accelerators, and we are focusing on digital health, digital well-being. How can we improve the existing screen time we already have by making the screen designs more calm and more tailored to our nervous system? Because right now we always have to adapt to the screens, and the screens and the technological devices are not becoming adaptive to us. So how can we detect biometrics? And we're doing that using the webcam and using AI. And then it personalizes the colors, fonts, brightness, and so on. So that's what I'm working on. But I'm also been breathing and meditation guide for 6 years now, a yoga instructor also for 6 years. But um, that's what I'm doing on the side, in multiple offices as well. The Google headquarters here in New York, the WeWork headquarters, work with toddlers, breathing with the toddlers, and in middle schools and high schools, with elderly, in jails, all kinds of populations, all kinds of backgrounds. We're grateful to breathe with anybody. I'm very, as the name of my startup, Breathing AI suggests, I'm a big believer that deeper breathing patterns can improve our just happiness and health, with every breath. And we're breathing over 20,000, 22,000 times a day on average. So there's a lot of potential by just deepening every breath to improve our general well-being. There's a lot of good studies on breathing and mindfulness. So that's my elaborate answer, but I'm all about breathing and deeper breathing patterns. And thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And thank you for the amazing, impactful work that you do.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm here actually in the garden. I've been guiding meetup with over 420 members now for almost 3 years with weekly gatherings. It's donation based, so everybody can come. It's called Breathe.AI. And yeah, it's a meetup group. And here in the garden in Soho, I've been guiding events all over too. I have private clients as well in offices. So I'm gonna guide it virtually now, probably because of the virus. So in the next week, so more people can maybe hopefully join virtually and improve their breathing patterns. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love the virtual resources. What's one thing that listeners can do right now to deepen their breath?
Yeah, I mean I always like to say in my workshops in the beginning, it's a six-pack free zone. So really letting go of any tension in our belly, because oftentimes the society, especially, I mean, right now with the virus, there's not a lot of gatherings, but especially in social gatherings, people tend to like tense their belly a little bit and tense their muscles. So the first thing is always just relaxing the body, because then we're less in like the fight or flight mode. And one simple solution is breathing through the belly and trying to learn how to sense how to expand the belly on the inhale. And sometimes that's not so easy because we're so used to just breathing through the chest through here. And it's like way more breaths. It's like about 15 to 20 breaths per minute when people breathe like this, sometimes even more. But we all have a diaphragmatic breathing muscle. And toddlers, for instance, we all did it as toddlers. So up to the age of 3 or 4, the intercostal muscles, which are like at the rib cage there, are not well developed. So as toddlers, we all breathed only through our belly. So we use the diaphragmatic breathing muscle a lot and expanded our belly. So I can obviously demonstrate. So like this would be more like a six-pack belly, but letting go of the belly like this, and then really breathing through the belly first. And so we all can do that. It's just a little bit of training, and there's a lot of studies on this. And my friend Wim Hof, he's also called the Iceman. He's been my mentor for many years. He's a wild and wonderful creature, and he lives in the Netherlands, but he holds world records using breathing to warm up his body temperature in the Arctic Circle. He was running a marathon in shorts and barefoot, but he was also running in the desert in Namibia, in, I think, barefoot in shorts without drinking water. So, but he wanted to make a point that breathing and body awareness can dramatically improve our health. And then he got injected with E. coli bacteria, and 24 subjects of a very intense study. They were all injected with E. coli bacteria, and 100% of the subjects, 12 of them, the half of the subjects, were trained in his method, his breathing, and they were able, in 4 days, they were trained, and they were able to resist the injection of E. coli bacteria, or the symptoms, effects, just with 20 or 30 minutes of breathing. So what they did was just really deep breathing, letting go axial, deep breathing, letting go axial, and then there's the breath holding of it. So if people look up Wim Hof's breathing method, or I have a breathing meditation on the Insight Timer, and other resources on YouTube, so they can learn how to do that. And we all did that. It's just kind of like a relearning. So just deeper breathing improves our blood circulation every moment, and especially regarding the coronavirus and also flu like symptoms. A lot of times it's respiratory failure. So it happens when we breathe very shallow, and then we can't, and then the kind of like the breathing, like to simplify, kind of like the breathing ways, channels are blocked. So we all of a sudden we can't breathe anymore. But it's also because like the muscles here, like the diaphragmatic breathing muscles, are not trained. So what we can do to prepare us, or even if we're slightly affected with a cold or a virus, is to breathe deeper, and thereby really to, because like breathing is kind of expanding, creating space in our body so air flows in. So especially if we're at home or somewhere with good air, it's so nourishing to inhale that air and to nourish our lung wings. So it's really like, I think of it as like this upside down tree here. So it's like tree-like branches of our lungs. And if we breathe only shallow, we don't, like here, all these beautiful trees, um, they get nourished fully because they're fully exposed. But if we only breathe shallow, we don't really expose, or we don't nourish all the tree-like branches of our lung wings. So the easiest way is to bring our awareness back to our breathing and to really explore how can we breathe much deeper. So I have to admit, I'm a total beginner. I'm with every inhale, I want to have a beginner's mind, and always like think, how can I improve my inhale now, and then the next inhale. So it's always like a beautiful way also to kind of like reset ourselves in the present moment and think like, oh, how can I nourish myself now with deeper breathing, and how can I explore my own body. And it's not only the study that people were injected with E. coli bacteria and improving their breathing, but there's a lot of studies that breathing improves like memory function as well. Our lungs, there was a few years ago a study, our lungs produce a certain blood component as well. So directly at our lungs, there's a certain blood component that gets produced, and it's very health improving as well, to improve our lung function by deeper breathing. So I cannot stop talking about breathing as well, because I just think it's very it's a forgotten muscle, the diaphragmatic breathing muscle, which helps us to breathe deeper here, which is kind of separating the like the organs here, but it's also nourishing the organs. So like the diaphragmatic breathing muscle pushing down. So breathing nourishes, gets the organs there in motion. So it's very good for digestion as well. So doing just a few deeper belly breathing, almost, if we ate a lot, then we can feel it immediately, how it gets everything in action a little bit. And yeah, so I really think just sitting down, focusing on our breathing, taking really deep inhales, adding a smile is always helpful because that creates happy hormones. It's a trick from laughter yoga and positive psychology. So that's my long answer, but the short summary is just bringing awareness to our breathing and sensing how can we create more space in our body with every inhale, and maybe adding a smile, and thereby nourish our whole blood circulation and our whole immune system. Because what happens is the first line of the immune system, the first defense of the immune system breaks down with the coronavirus, or also with other intense viruses or bacteria attacking the body. So, so what this Wim Hof breathing or other breathing techniques are doing, deeper breathing, is really improving that immune system and the first line of defense. So, so there's no going to be a respiratory failure, but our body knows how to respond by nourishing ourselves. It's not taking away from all the other precautions. I'm also actually like, always like to talk about phones, how we touch our phones. So if we wash our hands and we don't touch a phone, we still touch our phones afterwards and it's not washed, we might still get the bacteria and viruses in our hands. So all those precautions are advised are really good to follow, and especially cleaning our phones, cleaning devices we touch often, but also making sure that our inner body is nourished with every inhale. So yeah.
I love it. And I think it's such an important conversation because breath is a tool we all have. And the fact that we can heal with every single breath is so important.
Nice. Yeah, thank you for saying that. I mean, I sometimes get a little bit of a running nose, but since I started the Wim Hof breathing and a lot of intense focus on breathing, I haven't gotten sick. So, so it's really, and not to say like it's always good to follow the suggestions with social isolation in terms of like intense viruses and stuff, because it doesn't mean that somebody can't get the virus if they have a really strong immune system, because we can still receive it and transmit it, but deepening our breathing patterns will still help us to improve our immune system and to like not get that sick easily. And yeah.
I appreciate you being such a light during this time because breath is so important and fundamental to everything that we're creating. And I particularly appreciate what you shared about smiling. And that is something that was one of my biggest takeaways from the breathing class that I did with
Oh.
you, was just smile to make the happy hormones. And I've been trying to practice that throughout my day today, of even when I don't feel like smiling, or
Yeah,
if I notice
yeah.
myself frowning, I'm like, Jamie, smile and make the happy hormones and make this a happy moment.
Oh, that's nice. That's inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also appreciate the six-pack free zone. And that
Yeah.
really connects with the culture and society. It's like, we're photoshopping our social media photos. Everybody needs to be super thin. It's like, no, like if you breathe through your belly, you're healthy. Why don't we make that a new thing?
Yeah. That's I almost think that it is because it is such a stressful uh, workspace oftentimes, or there are so many stressful workspaces, and society it's so intense right now, and so so high in demand, that it's almost, if you show you have a six pack, it almost means that you're breathing shallow, so you are kind of in fight or flight of the nervous system, fight or flight mode, and you're in survival mode. So that's almost like, I think it's like tied in, not it's like one or the other, but I think this, if the society would be more relaxed and nourish a more laid back culture, I doubt there would be such a strong focus on six pack, because you're more, I think, calm if you have a bigger belly on breathing on inhale. So, and I also want to say that um inhaling deeper and being more calm, means actually we perform also better. We can also accomplish many tasks faster, and we can think more comprehensively because it connects more brain regions. So having a shallow breathing patterns and being in fight or flight means that we oftentimes are more in survival mode, in like one task to survive mode, and not in like seeing, overviewing the whole situation and what is possible, and then thinking what's the best outcome long term. So this fight or flight, a six pack, is oftentimes a very short term thinking, and a deeper inhale and smiles can definitely, it's a more long term solution, for ourselves and for communities.
I love
Yeah.
it. And part of that long-term solution is connecting with our breath. So I'm so excited that you're going to be sharing an exclusive breathing meditation with our meep community.
Yes, I'm so excited to share it soon. And since we're being so digital and virtual probably the next weeks, really excited to explore this more with everybody. And yeah, looking forward to breathing together, pixelated.
Yes, yes, virtual connection. And I think it's so important for the long term for us to get grounded in our bodies and our breathing.
Yes, and so excited to explore like the digital realm. I learned about it also through Vince Hof's online course, so the digital many years ago. So it's all interconnected in that sense. So where's the pixel or not depixelated, or we can always ground ourselves with every inhale, as you said. Thank you.
So beautiful and such an important example of digital wellness. I also would love for you to share a little bit about your takeaways from a digital wellness perspective of attending Wisdom.
Oh yeah, thank you for asking. I was just at Wisdom 2.0 conference in San Francisco. That was from Thursday, supposedly till Sunday, but they canceled Sunday. Google, the sponsor, I think, dropped out. There was supposed to be an after conference or so, or they didn't send their employees because of health concerns. And so it was low attendance. It was 700 instead of 2,500 sold tickets in advance, which was a good amount of number, I think, actually, to get a good chat and to run into people multiple times to continue conversation. Sometimes if it's overwhelming or if it's thousands of people. So it was a really good amount of people for me. I made a lot of new friends, new potential collaborators for my company Breathing.AI. And so I really enjoyed it. Solid and super motivating presentations by Jenny Johnson, by Marianne Williamson, and so many others. Especially Marianne Williamson was very inspiring. How she made an effort to say we need to integrate these approaches of mindfulness, of being actively caring and being compassionate in society with our every action, but also not being silent when there's injustice. And she quoted Dr. King, and I mean, I prefer to quote her because she was just like so in it the last years, especially with her um, a campaign, and how she was really attacked in many ways, but how she was really staying strong and living from the heart in a way, and living the values of compassion and care. And that was like so inspiring. And so my main takeaway was really this motivating speech by Marianne Williamson and also Jenny Johnson, the roots of mindfulness, also in Africa, and um, so many others there. Yeah. So and obviously Nina Hersher and her Digital Wellness Collective was present, and every time I came to the table there, to the booth they had, it was like vibrating and buzzing there with people. So I'm sure they had a good time too. And we had a wonderful dinner from the Digital Wellness Collective, which was, she had to reserve like a way larger space in a restaurant, and very enchanting conversations among peers in the digital wellness space. So I'm looking forward. I can highly recommend other conferences like Science and Non-Duality, which is usually in fall, of my friends Mauricio and his team. And then there's also Transformative Technology by my friend Nicole Bradford. It's another one which is a little bit more focused on technologies, but they're coming up this year, hopefully. And yeah, so very good time in San Francisco, and just in time probably before everything gets shut down. A Mindful Society is happening virtually. I was supposed to present there at Harvard. Supposed to guide a workshop and present on my company. But yeah, so hopefully we can all learn from each other as pixels for now, and then we can feel our breathing in our body and with our own presence. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love what you mentioned about compassion. And I think that breath is such an important tool for us to connect with compassion for ourselves and get really grounded in our bodies and this moment, whether it's using digital wellness as a tool to get there or just breathing.
Yeah, that's and it's, I think sometimes we live so much in our head, and it's so easy because the whole society is so set up for judgment, so easy to kind of like fall into labeling and judging things. And I think being more present in our with our breathing and sensing our heart beating is just like a simple tool, just maybe feeling our heart beating, or just we can also sense it internally. When we bring more awareness there, it gets a little bit more easier with like intense yoga practices, but and others. But just feeling our heart beating, feeling our breathing, and sensing that we all share that as the first activity to be alive. And thoughts come in a way later, and thoughts come and go, but our breathing stays in a way, because without, if it comes and goes, it's always there, it's always present, our heart is always beating. So it's always there to ground us and to help us to live a more nourishing life. So yeah, thank you for saying that. And I think also, I mean, what you said, being aware of our heart and being aware of our breathing makes us also feel that other people share that too. So I think thoughts can sometimes feel a bit separating. When we think of something, it might most likely not be true, especially when we think about somebody else's feelings or somebody else's what they're going through. Oftentimes it's more coming from the heart, and acting compassion to reduce somebody else's suffering is like a more noble, and I think a more uniting activity. Yeah.
Absolutely. And just connecting with our oneness, like we all
Yeah,
breathe, like we all inhale
yeah, that's right.
oxygen. Like it's so important and fundamental. And I'm
Yeah,
so excited to share your breathing meditation with our community. I know I'm
yes.
personally going to be using it very much.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, and what you just said, it's so. Yeah, that's so true. And just sensing, like when we're in thoughts, I think we're sometimes here and we're away. But if like what breathing in a way is like we're taking in the outer environment, so we just like sense through breathing that we're, that, as I said, there's a constant exchange with the environment, and we're not so separated, or we're not really separated, because all our all our atoms are replaced in our whole body within a few years. So it's just like everything is ever changing, and sensing that there is like a dynamic and there's not a true separation in a way is very fundamentally helpful for to feel happier and to feel less anxiety, less depression, less separatedness. So thank you for notioning on that.
Yes, this is beyond needed and such an important conversation. So I'm so grateful for you sharing your light and these amazing resources for us to connect with our breath.
Nice. Yay.
Yay, thank you
Thank you.
so
Very good
much.
podcast.
Meet,
So thank you.
meep. Meep out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll see you all soon.